You see tech acronyms everywhere, right? But sometimes they hide these incredible stories that are way deeper than you'd ever guess. Today, we're going to pull back the curtain on one of the biggest acronyms of our time and uncover a pretty wild secret history. All right, so let's just jump right in. On one side, you've got .ai. Everybody knows that one, artificial intelligence. But then you have .ia, which stands for Inteligencia Artificial. And that's the natural term for, over 1 billion people who speak Spanish, Portuguese, French, or Italian. You think, okay, it's simple translation, right? Case closed?
But yeah, it's not that simple. Not even close. Because buried inside those two little letters, IA, is a story that goes back more than 100 years. It's this hidden clash between two really powerful ideas, one about trying to prevent war, and the other about how to win it.
So what we really have here is a tale of two IAs. See, one story is all about forging human connection to try and secure peace for good. The other story, it's about building technological dominance, fueled by pure competition. And believe it or not, both of those visions are alive and fighting for the future right now. So let's walk down that first path, this really idealistic dream that was literally born from the ashes of world-shattering conflict. After the absolute devastation of World War II, this powerful movement of thinkers and linguists got together. They came up with this really powerful, almost radical idea. What if everyone could speak a shared, neutral language, what they called an international auxiliary language? Maybe, just maybe, if we could all understand each other, we could stop future wars before they even start. And get this whole movement had a pretty famous champion. Decades earlier, the great Leo Tolstoy, the guy who wrote War and Peace, became this passionate pacifist. He actually championed a language called Esperanto because he truly believed that a simple, shared language could be a real tool for peace. And right in that same tradition, in 1951, a new language called Interlingua was launched. It was designed to be a bridge, super easy to understand for hundreds of millions of people. And here is where the secret really clicks into place. The official, two-letter international code for the language Interlingua is IA. There it is, our first hidden meaning. So you can see, this wasn't just some passing fancy, right? This was a project that spanned decades, a vision of peace and unity literally being built one word at a time. But while this dream was slowly taking shape, a totally different vision was about to explode onto the scene. Okay, now we need to make a hard turn, because at the same time, a completely different story was unfolding, one driven not by a desire for cooperation, but by raw global competition. The date is October 4th, 1957. The Soviet Union launches Sputnik 1. And that sound, that little beep, beep, beep from space, it sent this absolute shockwave of panic across the United States. The Cold War just got very, very real. And the response was immediate. Just a few months later, in 1958, the U.S. founded DARPA. And its mission couldn't have been clearer: create world-changing tech to make sure America always had a decisive military edge. This was technology born from the fear of falling behind. So let's put it all on one timeline. Look at this. For over 70 years, you've got this slow, steady, hopeful progress on languages for peace. And then, bam! In the span of just 1 year, the entire game changes. Competition, not communication, suddenly becomes the engine of innovation. Okay, so let's jump forward in time, because that old dream of an interlingua, a bridge language, it actually comes back, but in a totally unexpected place. We're talking about a pioneer trying to crack one of the hardest problems in all of AI. So this is Dr. Ben Goertzel, a top researcher in artificial general intelligence. He was building this system, OpenCog, and he just hit a brick wall. See, his system was amazing at thinking in pure, clean logic, but it was terrible at one thing: translating our messy, weird, ambiguous human language into that logical form. And he was super blunt about it. The hand-coded rules they were trying to use to connect language to logic, they were flimsy, they were incomplete, and, in his own words, they just sucked. He needed a whole new approach. So what he did was, honestly, this brilliant hack. He basically created a modern interlingua, but for machines. He used this other constructed language called Lojban, which has a perfectly logical grammar. By creating this huge data set, comparing English sentences to their Lojban versions, he made a kind of Rosetta Stone. And then he just had his AI study it and learn the translation rules on its own. It was a total game changer.
And that brings us right back to where we started. Because today, that century-old battle of ideas between peace and competition, between one language and many, it's playing out all over again, right now, in the digital world. On one side, you've got .ai. Now, funnily enough, it's actually the country code for the tiny Caribbean island of Anguilla, but the tech industry just sort of took it over and made it the default. And on the other side, you've got IA.XYZ, which is this very deliberate, strategic move to carve out a digital identity for the billion-plus people who call it intelligentsia artificial. And when you put them side by side, the whole philosophy behind them is just totally different. .ai's origin is an accident. It's focused on English, and it's very much the established Web 2 way of doing things. IA.XYZ is strategic. It's multilingual from the get-go, and it's built with a decentralized Web 3 mindset, for a more open internet. It is a conscious choice. And that's really the heart of it all. .ai grew up in the DARPA era, the era of competition, of a single dominant power. But .ai, it grows up in the Tolstoy and the Esperanto and the Interlingua era, an era that values many voices, that values connection, and a more decentralized view of the future. Look, this goes way beyond just branding or picking a domain name. This is a real fight for cultural representation. It's about who gets to shape the language and the very identity of what might be the most important technology humans have ever created. So, it all boils down to this one big question. As we build this intelligent future, is it going to speak one dominant language, reflecting a world driven by competition, or is it going to speak many languages, reflecting a world that values connection? The battle between .ai and .ia shows us that choice is being made as we speak.